Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Well, first thing you may notice I have a new microphone, so my voice is going to be better quality than it was before. I was using an old Turtle Beach headset. I still have the headset, but it was just like the mic attached to the headset, of course. But I have a new proper microphone, so my voice is much more clearer. I've gotten it because one, the mic was just not that great. It's like slightly broken. It's been held together with like tape or whatever. Also, I have been starting streaming again. I did stream briefly, like a few years ago, probably 2020, 2021 time. Only a few streams back then, and then sort of like fell off. But me and my friends have really gotten into streaming, either just by ourselves or together. It's been really fun. You can go check me out at twitch.tv/Megamind2K. The first M is capital. Different name to this channel, and I'm definitely considering potentially changing this channel's name to Megamind2K rather than Genius Gamer 2K. I've kind of like grown out of the name Genius Gamer somewhat, so I might just change the name and have it all together, because potentially I will be, you know, as I stream games on my Twitch, I might upload videos and or like highlights and shorts, or you know, full games or whatever of me actually playing Deadlock, or even other types of games maybe, just to have something else on the channel or whatnot, because really, I'll be honest, like I much prefer streaming than video creation. It's just much more simpler somehow. It's just like I can sit down, press go live, and then just play. And I like interacting live more than just like working on a video. You know, you can still do a lot with video creation, of course. You can add a lot more things, but it's not my sort of preferred way of creating content. So it would be very appreciated if you would come over and check me out. Of course, I do stream Deadlock. It's not one of my main games, but of course, depending on if I really like a patch, or there's a new patch, or the game goes into beta or whatever, I'm likely to play it a lot more often. But my current main game that I'll probably play the most on my channel is Dead by Daylight. I don't know if I'll put any Dead by Daylight content on here. I may or may not. I'm not sure. But I'd be very appreciated if you come over and check me out. I'm very like interactive, so I will, you know, respond and talk a lot in chat, regardless of sort of what game, if you know, or whatnot, if I'm playing. I do play with my friends in sort of the co-op games and stuff like that. So of course, said come by. I very much appreciate if you do check me out over there and give me a follow. So that being said, this is the current state of Deadlock for June 2025. Yes, it's late. Yes, it's middle of July, and it's probably very close to another major patch for Deadlock, but I still need to have a video like a whatnot for Deadlock. I could very much like wait like to the end of July to make a video in a combined June and July, just because June doesn't really have that much going for it, to be honest. They had only one patch released during June for Deadlock, so it was a bit of a dead month. Not only for patches, but also I didn't really play Deadlock during June. I played it like right at the beginning on like the 1st, and then didn't touch the game until sort of when they updated it again on July 4th. So there isn't that much to talk about for June, but we can get over it quite quickly, so maybe this is a bit of a shorter video. But let's go over the singular patch they did in June, as well as talk briefly about what the meta was during June. So the patch they did, which was on June 17th, sorry, fairly small. It had a few substantial things. For example, they sort of reworked how the mid lane looked and played. They removed the big arch monument in the middle of the middle lane, of blue lane, and replaced it with like a bridge, which had like pillars underneath it. So sort of like the gameplay was sort of flipped over, where heroes could like get on top of the archway, and it caused problems for the enemies, because you know, having height advantage in pretty much any game is always good, especially in Deadlock. It benefited majority of the heroes, especially Lash, of course, as well, because he scales with how far you travel when you ground slam. So him being up top on the Arch Monument just gave him a inherent buff, whatnot. And to get up there properly, you had to do, like, you know, be good at movement and stuff like that. Which of course is, like, you know, a skill thing you want to learn, just in general movement, but it sort of did sway the lane a bit more if you knew how to use movement well to get up there and whatnot. So I'm fine with them, like, removing the Arch Monument in mid lane and replacing it with just like a bridge that has like pillars as cover underneath. I think it's much more clearer. It's similar to the other lanes as well, where they have, like, they're not full bridges but more like archways and whatnot. So they're all similar-ish in design of having like a bridge with like arches and then pathways underneath. So that's cool and whatnot. Because they changed how the thing looks, they did change the ways into mid boss, and so they removed like the ropes from the sides, and they more have well, the ropes are still there, but like they're on like the, you know, the inner part of the lane, sort of like opposite the shop. Those ones are still there, but the like ropes sort of right in the middle where you used to be, next to like the arch in the middle of the lane, those are gone, and there's like stairs and slopes into the box room underneath the mid lane that you can go into and whatnot. And with that as well, they changed the mid boss theming, so now the mid boss room has like a sewer theming, which, you know, if you think about old style New York sewer system, right, it's all muddy and all dirty looking. It's got puddles and then like cardboard box pieces and stuff like that down there, which very much fits the New York theme, right, of course. And it's still continuing their sort of art pass they've been doing bit by bit with updates and whatnot. So it's very nice to see. I do like the look of it. They didn't change mid boss itself, like the actual model of mid boss and how it acts. It's just they changed the themings of the room. So we might have like a giant rat mid boss potentially, which would be pretty funny and cool. But those were sort of the major things they did change with this update. Of course, then after that, they've got some gameplay changes. Drastic ones that can affect, you know, it's going to affect you is the flex slot changes, where instead of previously to this update, it was 2 guardians for your first flex slot to 3 guardians, meaning you had to win every wave, or, you know, defeat all the guardians in every way, every lane to get your first flex slot. This led to a bit of a snowbally effect where teams, like better teams, would just get all the guardians, you know, early, and they would have that flex slot advantage. You don't fill up your flex slots, you know, most of the time you don't really get your flex slots until much later on because of how the item shop works now and whatnot. But it was still, even then, it gave, if you wanted to fill out your slots or anything like that, then you did have that advantage, and you really needed to push that lane and to get that final guardian for your flex slot, which the enemy team could always just heavily defend, which makes it very hard for you to get your stuff as well. And then the third flex slot, which changed from 2 walkers to 3, I think that was a fine change. It's still like before with the 2 guardians and 2 walkers, whatnot. It made it so you could get your 3 flex slots quite easily, but and, you know, allowed for much more variedness in like having all your item slots and kind of balance out the game a bit. But it did mean that that third walker basically meant nothing. You could completely ignore that third walker if you wanted to. So that sort of like flex slot change from 2 walkers to 3 makes sense, but it has been a bit harder in the early game to get that first flex slot with the 3 guardians change. So it has its ups and downs with that sort of thing. As well, they always change stuff to the economy, like kill bounties getting increased and stuff like that. They made it so killing heroes and destroying objectives no longer spawned soul orbs. So previously, when you killed an enemy or destroyed an objective, some soul orbs will come out, which could be secured if you are the one destroying it, or if you're on the enemy team, you could deny some part of the soul value from the objectives or kills. That is no longer a thing, and the souls are directly given to the killer or the assisters that are nearby to the objective, or that hero or whatever. So that means it's much more valuable to get kills and destroying objectives now because of that. They changed other things like health of the walkers got increased, their spirit resist got decreased. Boons, which is like when you level up, when you get a certain soul threshold, you get a boon which gives you like extra health or weapon damage or whatever. Like you can look at the heroes in the game to see what they're specifically their boon level ups are, but they did change how they're distributed slightly or whatnot. The rejuvenator drops down a second faster now, which is of course very important because that can mess up your memory, your muscle memory somewhat. If you're planning to do a stun, maybe you have in your head the countdown, but since it's been reduced by a second, you have to adjust the timing somewhat. It does feel faster. Like it's gone from 9 seconds to 8 seconds. That is much faster. And when it does come down, you can really sort of notice it. So that is a sort of a big change to Rejuve being dropped down. They did some item changes, nothing drastic, like amazing, incredibly drastic in this patch. I think the patch they changed a lot more items was July 4th, which I'm not going to cover in this sort of video because this is the one based on June. Or whatnot, but they didn't change that many items. A few, percentage tweaks and number tweaks and cooldowns and stuff there. But hero wise as well, they really kind of nerfed Calico, as they nerfed the cat form for Ava, where before when you went into cat form, you could just run around and run into boxes and golden statues and immediately break them. That's no longer a thing now. You actually have to like melee them to pounce and break them. So Calico is no longer the best at just running around the map, breaking boxes and getting a ton of souls and gold buffs for free now. Plus alongside that, base health got reduced, the health growth got reduced, the melee multiplier got reduced on her 2, the amp damage on her tier 3 upgrade for her ultimate got reduced. So she got hit quite bad, Calico, but she was still strong. She was very tanky and very mobile with the cat form and stuff like that. So that definitely reduced the fact that she can scale quite easily with the boxes. You can't do that no more, and makes her less tanky as well. Other things like Kelvin got cooldowns on his Arctic Beam. Lady Geist got like bullet damage reduced, life drain slow was increased. Soul exchange cast range got reduced by a meter, which is big. It was already a very short range. It went from 7 meters to 6, so you have to be even closer to someone now to get a soul exchange. Other things like Warden got some changes. He had his ult reduced in certain aspects and stuff like that. Wraith got quite a big nerf across the board. Base health reduced, bullet damage growth reduced, the card damage base is reduced, but spirit and scaling went up and whatnot. So nothing crazy changes other than sort of Calico, I would say, in terms of hero changes. But like I said, June didn't have that much, and it was mainly dictated by having a gun weapon meta. So of course Wraith, Infernus definitely were the two bigger ones, and a lot of other characters that can do very, very well with gun were doing well in June. From what I heard, Infernus was being sort of just like people only picking weapon items on him, even though he is supposed to be sort of like a split scaler, a hybrid scaler, where you have like partly weapon for fire rate and damage, but then you also have in a bit of spirit, so you can build your afterburn damage and stuff like that and duration on it. But I think more people opted to gun and weapon items on him more, which definitely made him quite strong, but they overall nerfed the gun damage and growth and stuff like that across the board in July, on the July 4th update or whatnot. But yeah, since I didn't play Deadlock at all really in June, I don't know really roughly how the meta was, because I was more focused on actually, I said I was playing other games and whatnot, and I just didn't feel like playing that much. So I've had a break from the game. I'm fresh, I can come back and play it, especially if there's a patch coming soon. It might be actually later today, on the 15th of me recording this. It might be tomorrow, it might be the day after, who knows, it could be next week. But we're roughly at that time again where another major patch is likely to hit Deadlock, and the patch is likely as well to be brand new heroes being added to the game. We don't know how many, we don't know which ones. I assume it's going to include some of them that were leaked before, which I made a video talking about the leaked heroes and whatnot, and whether any of the current like Hero Lab heroes are being put into the game or not. That's still to be determined, but we'll see whenever this patch drops. So look, I'm looking forward to that. I'll be sure to probably stream Deadlock soonish after the patch or whatnot. But yeah, I think that's everything for this video or whatnot. So thank you all for watching. Like I said, I am streaming on Twitch. If you want to go check me out, I'll put the link to my Twitch in the description. If you want to come check me out and support me or whatnot, so which would be very much appreciated. I would very much like just even popping by, saying hello or anything. If any questions on my thoughts on Deadlock or whatever game I'm playing, you know, feel free. I'm always down to talk and waffle on stream about topics and whatnot. So yeah, as I said, maybe I said in the beginning as well, I might have a game on when I'm streaming on Deadlock on Twitch, and then I might put the VOD or that match on YouTube just as like extra content, because I've only really uploaded sort of current state review videos and whatnot. So maybe having some extra gameplay stuff is gonna, you know, help the channel a bit more. So look forward to that, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.